According to court records and evidence presented at trial, he helped traffic large quantities of the drug, will spend the rest of his life in prison after a drug trafficking conviction for cocaine, heroin, and meth.
On March 4th, 2026, a significant legal event took place at the federal courthouse in Bridgeport, Connecticut, marking a major step forward in the effort to protect the peace of society. A severe sentence was pronounced, somewhat dispelling the darkness brought by those who sow white death into peaceful neighborhoods. This is the result of an incredibly complex and multi-year investigation led by the Drug Enforcement Administration's Hartford Task Force. This story not only exposes crimes, but also kindles faith in justice and the power of community solidarity. At the center of this sentencing is Jonathan Garcia, a 37-year-old man residing in Long Beach, California, who goes by the alias Gordo in the underworld. Standing before U.S. District Judge Stephen R. Underhill, he received a sentence of 78 months in prison, equivalent to 6.5 years of lost freedom. Accompanying this is 4 years of strict supervised release after serving his sentence for the crime of smuggling illegal substances into Connecticut. This sentence is not merely a punishment for an individual, but also a stern warning sent to those who are contemplating profiting from the pain of their fellow human beings. What is saddening and also serves as an alarm bell for the justice system is Jonathan Garcia's dark past, as this is not the first time he has fallen into the federal legal net. In 2017, he received a conviction for drug trafficking in the Central District of California, but it seems that punishment was not enough of a deterrent. This recidivism exposes an agonizing reality where hardened traffickers often view prison sentences merely as a temporary occupational hazard. They quickly return to the path of crime with a higher degree of sophistication and organizational scale as soon as they have the opportunity to step back into society. Garcia's continuation down his familiar path, extending his sinful tentacles from the West Coast to the East Coast of the United States, forced law enforcement agencies to take decisive action. Prosecutors understood that applying truly severe punishments is the only way to isolate him from the community in order to prevent further family tragedies. According to court records, Garcia was officially arrested by authorities on October 24, 2023, after a long period of close surveillance. Faced with undeniable ironclad evidence gathered incredibly meticulously by the task force on August 11, 2025, Garcia was forced to bow his head and plead guilty. He admitted to the charge of conspiracy to distribute and to possess with intent to distribute a large quantity of illicit substances amounting to 500 grams or more of cocaine. Although currently out on bail, thanks to posting a massive bond, Garcia has received an order compelling him to report to federal prison on April 22, 2026. That day will officially mark the beginning of the days he must pay the price for his ruthless greed. The downfall of Jonathan Garcia is the well-deserved result of a large-scale investigative campaign that began in 2022, demonstrating the intellect and bravery of the Hartford Task Force. The ultimate goal of this specialized project was to tear out by the roots a massive smuggling organization responsible for distributing kilograms of fentanyl and cocaine across the state of Connecticut. The process of dismantling this ring required patience, silent sacrifice, and the nerves of steel of the officers who face danger day and night to protect future generations. Through tireless investigation, authorities uncovered an extremely complex and cunning transnational supply chain. Law enforcement discovered that this criminal organization did not produce the illicit substances locally, but received their supply directly from notorious kingpins in California. Even more terrifying, the deep-rooted origin of these poisons stemmed from infamous criminal cartels in Mexico. This harsh truth once again confirms the danger level of transnational criminal organizations to security and order in the United States. The smugglers used the state of California as a massive and perfect transit hub before distributing the poison to East Coast states like Connecticut. Jonathan Garcia's role in this dark network was absolutely crucial and irreplaceable. Investigators discovered that he, along with another individual, directly coordinated the shipments containing kilograms of drugs across the border from Mexico straight into Connecticut. He did not merely sit in one place directing from afar, but personally traveled from California to Connecticut on many different occasions. Garcia's physical presence was aimed at creating the most favorable conditions for the underground transactions while collecting the massive flow of money profited from these highly sinful, illegal activities. To dismantle this organization, agents had to deploy a network of incredibly diverse and modern professional investigative measures. These included the use of court-approved wiretaps, conducting rigorous physical and electronic surveillance regardless of day or night. What do you think about the bravery of the officers who had to go undercover as criminals to infiltrate these dangerous rings? Authorities also carried out controlled drug purchases through incredibly brave undercover officers. The evidence gathered from this series of complex professional measures wove together into an incredibly solid legal tightening ring. It did not give the defendants even a slim chance to escape the punishment of the law. One of the most important turning points of the entire investigation occurred in February 2023, decisively determining the situation of the case. This event exposed the entire highly sophisticated money laundering and asset transfer methods of this interstate criminal ring. Investigators with a sharp professional eye tracked and successfully seized two highly suspicious parcels. They were sent stealthily by a prominent member of the organization through a post office located in the West Hartford area. The destination of these incredibly shady parcels was secret addresses located in the distant Southern California region. The inspection of these two parcels immediately provided investigators with vital physical evidence. The first parcel, when opened, contained approximately $6,500 in cash, along with two expensive brand new unused cell phones in their boxes. Meanwhile, the second parcel contained a much more massive amount of cash, reaching the figure of about $38,300. The use of the National Postal Service to transport dirty money across state lines is a classic trick of criminal cartels. The main purpose of this trick is to evade the strict surveillance of the state banking system and financial regulatory agencies. At the same time, it also shows the massive and ruthless level of profit that they are extorting day and night from addicted people drowning in misery in Connecticut. However, the abundant supply from Mexico and California would never reach the end consumers without the street-level distribution tentacles. This operation nakedly exposed the direct link between major smuggling bosses and violent local criminal gangs. More specifically, the investigation clarified that the members of the motorcycle club named Loose Cannonz, headquartered in East Hartford, were the highly effective middlemen. They were directly responsible for receiving the highly toxic shipments from the criminal organization led by Garcia. This motorcycle gang was not merely speed enthusiasts, but had degenerated, acting as a highly efficient secondary distribution network. They heartlessly spread this massive amount of illicit substances into peaceful residential areas in and around the Hartford area. The devilish combination of federal smuggling bosses with powerful financial resources and local motorcycle gangs with deep knowledge of the territory created a closed criminal ecosystem. This ecosystem is like a malignant tumor directly threatening the security, order, and lives of all citizens in residential communities. The legal victory against Jonathan Garcia and his ring is absolutely not the achievement of any single individual or single agency. The announcement of the sentence by U.S. Attorney David X. Sullivan of the District of Connecticut is a very clear testament to the power of cooperation. That is the comprehensive and tight cooperation among multiple levels of government, from local to federal, to protect the supremacy of the law. The DEA's Hartford task force worked tirelessly, side by side, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the United States Postal Inspection Service. Notably, the composition of this task force is a diverse picture converging the most elite personnel from various agencies. They include agents from the DEA resident office in Hartford, the Connecticut State Police Force, along with a long list of local police departments. The large and enthusiastic participation of local law enforcement agencies from Bristol, Hartford to East Hartford, Enfield, and Manchester shows the deeply rooted nature of the problem. Interstate criminals are often cunning, using the infrastructure of small cities and towns as safe havens and to build distribution centers. Therefore, only the intimate local knowledge of the local police, combined with the vast resources and authority of the federal government, can dismantle this entire system. The process of prosecuting the case in court was handled incredibly excellently by the Assistant United States Attorneys, the defenders of justice. They persevered without stepping back, bringing all the evidence to light to ensure a fitting sentence for the offender, restoring faith to the people. To properly and comprehensively evaluate the importance of the 78-month prison sentence for Jonathan Garcia, we cannot simply look at it as a completely isolated event. The case in the state of Connecticut is actually a perfect puzzle piece, reflecting the entire fierce picture of the battle to protect life that the U.S. government is facing. That is the horrific threat from synthetic, illicit substances that are destroying the nation's younger generation every single day and hour. According to official reports from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, this country is going through an unprecedented poisoning and overdose crisis in its history. The root of this tragedy is caused by ruthless criminal networks out of bottomless greed for blood money. Although there have been positive signs, as the number of poisoning deaths decreased from a peak of nearly 73,000 cases in 2023 down to nearly 50,000 cases in 2024. But a harsh, heartbreaking reality still exists palpably before the eyes of the entire society. Fatalities related to illicit substances, primarily driven by synthetic types, remain the leading cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 44. Fentanyl is a poison with terrifying destructive power to the human nervous system and physical body, with just a tiny amount the size of a grain of salt. The "one pill can kill" message from authorities is being spread strongly to warn the public about this unpredictable peril. The fact that Garcia's organization imported kilograms of this poison from Mexico into Connecticut means that he brought with him hundreds of thousands of lethal doses. He was ready to sow death and mourning for innocent citizens, regardless of the consequences, just to enrich himself. The presence of supplies from outside the borders in Garcia's case also reflects a macro reality that the U.S. Department of Justice is prioritizing for resolution. Through the campaign named Take Back America, a nationwide initiative is mobilizing all the power and resources of the justice system to push back against crime. The supreme goal is to repel the infiltration of the wave of illegal migration, carrying the seeds of sin, aiming for the complete eradication of transnational cartels. The operation of smuggling cartels like Garcia's in Connecticut has a striking similarity to criminal models recently dismantled across the United States. For instance, along the New Hampshire seacoast, a Dominican-based trafficking organization was also arrested for funneling large amounts of illicit substances into this area. In the state of Indiana, a network led by a prominent subject was also just handed historic sentences of up to 33 years in prison for distributing hundreds of kilograms of poison throughout the central and southern regions. In your opinion, how can families early recognize the signs of psychological changes in their children before it's too late? Similar to the loose Cannonz gang and Garcia's organization, the criminal group in Indiana was also extremely aggressive, arming themselves with an arsenal of dangerous heavy weapons. They used violence threats and purged each other to control the network, causing ultimate terror for honest citizens living nearby. Even the infiltration of foreign criminals is so brazen that federal agents recently had to raid and dismantle an underground chemical laboratory. This deadly laboratory was located right in the backyard of a crowded residential area in the suburbs of Atlanta, blatantly operated by illegal immigrants. These individuals, like Garcia's supply source, are directly connected to the transportation rings of tons of illicit substances across the border, sowing pain for so many families. Especially these efforts to clean up society are led by an ironclad determination to prosecute the most powerful top leaders of the cartels. Bringing terrorism charges against the regional bosses of major cartels in Mexico is proof that the law will not falter before any dark forces. The accused individuals who have turned the streets into a battlefield with weapons and poison will have to pay fittingly before justice. All these major and minor operations, from the distant Northeast to the sunny South, share a common bitter denominator. Transnational criminal organizations are treating human lives as a lucrative commodity, regardless of all moral, geographical, and legal barriers. They sophisticatedly exploit every loophole, from laundering money through the postal system, using motorcycle gangs as a front to smuggling deadly additives. Through this story, the most profound humane lesson is the power of love and close monitoring and care from the family. In a world where drugs sneak into every corner, from urban streets to rural communities, the role of the family becomes more important than ever. Parents are not only supervisors but also companions, helping their children identify and resist invisible threats. Through daily conversations, sharing life experiences, and building trust, families can create a solid psychological shield, preventing temptation from bad friends or social pressure. We need to educate our children about the horrific harms of drugs, not only with dry deterrent words, but with genuine understanding and sharing. The 78-month federal prison sentence for Jonathan Gordo Garcia is a clear testament to the law's zero-tolerance principle toward crime. Garcia, 37, from Long Beach, California, was sentenced for trafficking cocaine and fentanyl from California to Connecticut, supplying a local motorcycle club. This case not only exposes a sophisticated smuggling network, but also emphasizes the severe consequences of participating in the underworld. It demonstrates the incredibly excellent investigative capabilities, bravery, and silent sacrifice of the Hartford Task Force and partner agencies, including the DEA and local units. They tracked Garcia from 2023, leading to his arrest in October of that year, and finally the sentencing in 2026. Although 6.5 years in prison may have temporarily removed a highly dangerous link from society, restoring peace to neighborhoods in Hartford and surrounding areas, this case is also a profound alarm bell about the massive scale and cunning sophistication of the underworld that we are not allowed to neglect. Garcia transported hundreds of grams of cocaine and fentanyl through the mail, threatening the lives of thousands of people, especially impressionable youth. While thousands of kilograms of poison are still secretly being funneled across borders every day, threatening the lives of tens of thousands of youths, vigilance is the ultimate weapon. Drugs not only destroy health but also break families apart, pushing society into a downward spiral of crime and poverty. Smooth interagency coordinated efforts, like in Garcia's case, are proof that collective strength can crush any dark forces. From federal investigation to local cooperation agencies have proven that no criminal is untouchable. And yes, I completely agree that introducing life skills and vice prevention education into schools from an early age is the most core protective measure. From elementary school, children need to learn how to recognize risks, refusal skills, and the consequences of drugs through interactive programs such as workshops, real-life videos, or inviting experts to share. This not only equips them with knowledge, but also builds a sense of community responsibility. The Federal Bureau of Investigation's enforcement agency, along with local police forces, have been sending an incredibly stern message to the criminal world. The cold-blooded individuals who only know how to make money on the pain, the withering, and the death of the community, no matter what dark corners or alleys they hide in. Ultimately, they will be tracked down by justice, stripped of all illegal assets, and must pay the price with their very own freedom behind cold iron bars. Hopefully, through this story, each of us will raise our awareness to protect ourselves and our loved ones from the unpredictable pitfalls of life. If you found this article helpful and it conveyed profound educational messages, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to give us more motivation.